Hey, yo. Welcome back to another episode of the Full Circle podcast. And boy, oh boy, do we got a show for you today. Lexie Brown, how you doing, girl?
I'm good. How are you? Everyone say hi to Kenan in the back.
Excellent.
He was loud.
Hi,
he was loud in the last episode. Everyone was talking about how he was.
He was slamming stuff into the ground. I was like, what's going on?
Look at him.
He was wrestling back there.
Y'all won't be able to see when this episode drops. When the video drops, you'll see him just... He's my Velcro child.
He's keeping it nice and demure today.
Yeah, for now. For now. Okay. Guys, so we have a lot to get into. I know, we just gonna get right into it. Cathy versus Fee. Player versus commissioner. Never in the history of sports have I ever seen a player go at the commissioner of their league the way Napheesa Collier did in her exit interview. And honestly, shout out to Fee, because for her to do that was very brave of her, one. She didn't have to do that. I feel like as far as what she said, I support her and her experiences and what she has, felt towards the commissioner and the league since she's been in the league. She was actually my rookie when I was in my second season. So I wasn't a vet yet, but she was a rookie. So I've seen Fee grow up, into this strong, powerful player, woman, mother, businesswoman, co-founder. So it's been really cool to see Fee grow up. For me, I feel like everything that she said was valid. And I think other players have chimed in, said what they need to say. I don't really have much to add. And for me, last time I was very vocal about my working conditions. I got traded. So I'm going to keep it cute. I'm going to keep it cute on this front and say that I support Fee and I want to do everything in my power as part of the Players Association and being part of the CBA committee to make sure that we get a deal done that we all feel is beneficial to the league and the players. Because at the end of the day, Cathy works for the owners, guys. Cathy does not work for us. She works for the owners. So for me, coming at the league and the owners sideways, yeah, that's going to light a fire under negotiations for sure. But as someone that wants to work in league leadership and ownership and front office, this is something that I have to tread lightly with, because those are the rooms that I want to be in one day and continue to help grow the league and give players and organizations the resources and the knowledge that I feel is necessary to continue to build the league up. So shout out to Fee though. When she came up with her notes, I said, oh, this is getting a little spicy. But from the outside looking in, Mariah, how did you feel about her words and her delivery and all the things that she was saying?
I thought her accusations towards the commissioner were very damning, and I was very interested to see what Cathy was going to have to say in response. Look, Napheesa Collier is a very respectable player who isn't, as Lexie and I have both talked about throughout the season and since we have been covering the W, she is not the person to just be lashing out about anything. So I feel like her speaking, especially in that manner, that was very specific, accusatory, and direct. Cathy, I'm speaking to you, was shocking. I think that was the biggest part to me, saying I had this private conversation and these were the exact things that were said. She hit the red button for sure. I think probably sitting in that conversation, allegedly hearing those things that were said specifically about the rookies that we have been so supportive of on this program, specifically Caitlin, Angel, Paige. I'm sure when Fee was in that conversation hearing those words, she was like, oh, this is the red button for show. And if things don't work out in these CBA negotiations, trust I will be informing the public. And that's exactly what she did. So I thought that it was very enlightening. I was less shocked about Fee's exit interview and the way it was delivered and how honestly respectful and eloquent I thought she was. More so, I was shocked by the commissioner's response. I saw a lot of WNBA players actually in the comments of her response video where she was like, look, I have a family too, which as two people who have gotten tons of hate on the internet, I'm sure that has been really tough for her and her family and everything they're experiencing. As the commissioner of a league, as long as I've been covering sports and been a sports fan, I was not expecting that response. Look, the commissioner is usually the principal of the school and not necessarily the victim of these sort of things, saying, I'm so hurt and disheartened by this.
Yeah.
Yet not exactly denying it, just saying there's a lot of misinformation out there, but not saying Fee's lying. I don't think that she was. I don't think any player would come out and be that specific about something like that if those things didn't happen. But I felt the response to it was a little disheartening, at least for you guys. I didn't feel like it was necessarily taking responsibility for, even though she doesn't work for the players, she does have a responsibility to y'all. And with growing the league, like, y'all are what's going to do that. The owners aren't going to do that. Obviously, they have a responsibility to help you guys do that. But without y'all, there is no league. Right. There is no nothing. So at the end of the day, their number one, like, people that they're answering to should be y'all. And in that response, I didn't feel like it was that. I didn't feel like there was remorse. And I was a little pissed about it as a fan. For the players of the WNBA, I feel like you're owed more respect than that, to be honest. And I would rather her just keep it a buck and say, look, there were some things I regret, or look, we're moving past that. I don't want to hear, but what about me?
What was
from
me?
The commissioner? Because David Stern would have been like, everybody's in trouble and this and that. Like, that would have been handled. So I didn't like that at all. But it's been an interesting week.
I'm glad you brought up David Stern because I'm pretty sure he was the commissioner when my dad was playing, yes. And my dad actually went through a lockout in his career. And he and I have a lot of conversations about CBA and negotiations because he was a player during a lockout. He was a WNBA coach. He was a WNBA GM. Like, he knows so much. So I've just been picking his brain. I mean, I always pick his brain, but I've been picking his brain as of late about this CBA stuff because he actually went through a lockout. And he says that our lockout now is very, very similar to theirs in 1998, I think I want to say. So that's still pretty early for the NBA. We're still very early in our, WNBA lifetime. Like, we're still like basically a little kid as far as
I was going to say, you're
lifetime.
approaching, I feel like, your 30th birthday as a league. And that time is around the NBA's 30th birthday as a league. So that makes sense.
So he was like, there's a lot of similarities to what you guys are asking for and what the league is trying to give y'all. And that's what a negotiation is. Both parties are not going to come to a conclusion where everything that they want is going to happen. So obviously the revenue sharing is top priority. If people by now do not understand what that means, then y'all are just being dense for no reason, because me and Mariah have talked about it over and over. All the players have talked about it. There's messaging out. If you guys really want to hear about CBA talk, we literally have an interview with Terry, who's in charge of the Players Association, that we did back in February. So there's information out for everybody to really understand what we're asking for. And the comparisons to the NBA, NFL, like, yes, as far as players associations, that makes sense. But as far as money, revenue, expenses, like, we understand that it's apples and oranges. Trust me, us as players understand that. So we're not going to beat a dead horse here, because I feel like we've talked about it so much about what exactly we're asking for when it comes to the salaries and the salary cap. What I've been interested in is, now with the finals happening and this long season and the injuries, are fans finally like, why don't any of the teams use their bench? Why are the players so tired when they have all these players on the bench? Like, I'm glad that that's coming to the forefront. And also, despite everything that Fee said about her and Cathy's private conversation and how Cathy is kind of out of touch with the players, which I agree with, a lot of her points that she was making was about the officiating. and the integrity of the game and the product that's being put out on the floor. And that point kind of was missed completely by a lot of fans, obviously by the media. The media didn't even talk about anything else that Fee said in her exit interview, because of the interview was like 4 minutes. It was a few minutes.
It was 4 minutes
and everyone
long.
just focused on the 15-second clip of her talking about our superstars and what Cathy said. And I was like, yes, that is an important part to highlight, but everything else she said was exactly correct. So I think we can use that to segue into the finals a little bit, because we have seen a very dramatic change in the officiating, I feel like, from the first half of playoffs and the regular season to the finals right now. And for me, I think Fee would have said, I truly believe that she would have had the same sentiments, whether they advanced or didn't advance. And some people are not sure if she would have, but I think that she would have still said what she said, regardless if they advanced or not. But I do think that the officiating tangent was definitely a jab at the Mercury. And we're seeing it play out in real time, because they are not looking their best right now in games 1 and 2. I don't think, because I think their physicality is being used against them. So let's get into the finals a little bit. Yeah, let's get into the finals a little bit. So what you got for us, Mariah?
As the Mercury are a very physical team, as we saw that kind of being the catalyst to Fee's entire speech that she gave in her exit interview, the Mercury are a very physical team. Lexie, I'm curious how you think specifically that, obviously from a defensive standpoint, but like how specifically, like why are we seeing that play out so much now? And in what ways are their games being like, for people who haven't really necessarily been watching the Mercury this season as much, how specifically is this affecting what their bread and butter is?
Yeah, so if y'all know that Alyssa Thomas is the head of their snake, Phoenix, the way she plays basketball is very unconventional. It's unorthodox. It's extremely physical. Becky Hammon literally said in her media availability that she is the only player that could transition from basketball to football. And that was a backhanded compliment, 100%, but she's not wrong. Because if you guys have watched Alyssa Thomas play, she does run people over. Like, that's her MO. She sets really hard screens. I got a lot of AT stories. In the bubble, she concussed me with a screen in the backcourt. So, like, I have firsthand experience of what it's like to be laid out by Alyssa Thomas. And there's a video on my Instagram, if y'all don't believe me. I'm going to actually I'm going to repost it this week, and y'all can be like, oh, she wasn't lying. No, she literally laid me out in the backcourt in the bubble. I got a concussion. So the way she plays basketball is extremely physical. Kalia Copper has been known to be a really aggressive defender. Satu is also a player that plays really physical, uses her body and her size extremely well, but sometimes can be a little bit out of control, I feel like. I think that with the extreme criticism of the refs of the last like week and a half, 2 weeks, they had to have had their little secret ref meeting or in their little ref group chat or whatever and be like, we need to like clean this up. And I think that's why we're seeing Jackie go off, Dana Evans go off, Jewel Lloyd getting loose, because I think everyone gets really caught up in the physicality of post players, but that's not going to change. That's never going to change. That's always been how post players play basketball. And that's why we're seeing less and less of them, because the girls are bigger and stronger. The men are bigger and stronger. And no one wants to be laying up and banging against another human being for 40 to 48 minutes. If you guys don't understand the rules of defending, when you're in the post and your back is to the basket, you have a completely different set of rules than when you are faced up, facing the basket. So that's why you probably feel like post players are way, way, way more physical than guards, because they allow that because that's just the nature of that position is you need to be a little bit more physical. You need to be able to have your own space and be able to make moves. But when you're a guard and faced up, like it's hands off. Like you cannot put your hands on people. You cannot grab people. You can't wrap. You can't do any of that. And I feel like the biggest issue this season was the freedom of movement at the guard position. And people cannot freely cut. People cannot get open. People can't come off of screens because the refs have been allowing players to like have their hands on their waist, on their hip, like everything. So I feel like even when you're looking at a player like a Caitlin Clark, like a Sabrina, even Jewel this season with her, up and down, it's because those are players that rely heavily on having a freedom of movement. And they just simply weren't allowed to have it this year. It's something that I struggled with in my first year back after I got sick. I was not strong enough to deal with that physicality, and it really affected my game. So I think that these finals, they are like, y'all can't touch anybody. And that is why we're seeing Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Dana Evans get loose because they have freedom of movement. And I'm really happy to see that because that benefits guards throughout the league, especially ones that come off a lot of, down screens and, like to shoot outside shots and don't necessarily like to be in the lane. Also, Jackie's a very physical player as well. So if you're initiating the contact as an offensive player, like you have the advantage when the refs are calling games at the way that they are. So I feel like Phoenix is going to have to adjust, which is hard. Like we said last week, it's very hard to like dial it down. Like it's really hard to turn it up as well. But they now see how the refs are calling these games and they're going to have to adjust or they're going to get swept. Like it's possible. The way Vegas is playing right now, like they have to figure it out.
Yeah, obviously the Aces are very much up right now. Game 2, speaking of Jackie Young, I want to talk about her record-breaking performance. Most points for an Aces player. Can I speak, guys? Most points for an Aces player with 32 in a finals game. She's been the quiet spark for them. After a little bit of trouble in game 1, Becky literally laughed and said, I could never be mad at Jackie. And now we see why. Lexie, can you speak a little bit more because everybody is so focused on A'ja Wilson, obviously, because she's their MVP and she's A'ja Wilson doing incredible things on both sides. 20 plus point games. Then you got Chelsea Gray and her assists. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Jackie Young, what specifically about her? You mentioned her being a physical player, but like they're big, quote, big three, I guess we could call them. Why does this work? And what role does she play in that?
Guys, Jackie Young was literally a number 1 pick. She was a number 1 pick. She left college early to become a number 1 pick. So I do agree when you say she often gets overlooked because she plays next to A'ja Wilson and Chelsea Gray. And then she had Kelsey Plum, De'Erica. Like they were literally the WNBA Avengers for a few years. And I think because they were seeing so much success and that the way that they were playing basketball was very transformative as far as how we're playing now, I think that the individuals kind of got lost in the sauce. And at the end of the day, A'ja was the one that kind of rose to the top, which I think is amazing. I think she has earned that. I think she is the best player in the world at the moment. Jackie is quiet. Everyone calls her the quiet assassin. But it's so funny that we say that about her because she be yapping on the damn court. Like, she be talking. Like, she be running her mouth. But she has the game to back it up.
We can't hear that.
Right? And everything is still, it's like very quiet still. Like, it's so funny that we all collectively as the league know her as being like the quiet assassin. But we also collectively know that when she gets going, like she be talking her shit. So I think that's funny that that's the reputation that she has for herself. I think these moments she lives for. She's just so poised all the time. The thing that has impressed me the most about Jackie and her growth as a player is her 3-point shooting. I remember when she first got into the league, she like was not a very good 3-point shooter at all. So I'm looking at her stats right now. Year 1, 32% from 3. Year 2, 23% from 3. Year 3, 25% from 3. 2022, I don't know what she did in the offseason, but 43%, 45% the year after that. And now she's kind of like found herself somewhere in the middle. She's also taking more threes than she was before. But when she added that 3-point shot to her game, she became like very unstoppable. And again, just an unsung hero of this Aces team and this Aces dynasty, quote unquote, that, you know, they're building. How many championships did we say for them to be a dynasty? They need 4. Is that what you said? Okay, so if they win this one, they'll be at 3. Will they still be a dynasty even though that they lost De'Erica and Kelsey? Would it still be considered a dynasty because they still got the core 3?
Yeah, because think about it. The Warriors are still considered a dynasty they won without KD before and after. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not really about as long as the core is there, and the core there, as I've called them, the A''CES and Becky.
Right. I'm throwing
dynasty.
Becky into the core. So I would say, sure. Like the core group was Plum, Chelsea, Jackie, Asia, De'Erica, and now it's Chelsea, Asia, Jackie, Becky. So I'm like,
and there's something to be said about a championship winning culture. We talked about this at the beginning of the season with the Aces, but it kind of being like they were the super team. They're going to win the championship. Like, I remember that era. And then them becoming kind of silly, not a bad way, but they were kind of like the meme of the W. Like, they were constantly doing funny, silly stuff. And everything was like, haha, we're joking around and we're still good.
Really good. We're still going to whip your ass and laugh at you.
Right. Then things kind of slowed down, and to an Aces sense, right? Like us calling them being 500 a horrible season, slowed down to an Aces sense. And we went into this season during training camp. Remember, everybody was like, the vibe is so serious with them. Like, everything was very serious. And we said at the beginning of the year, it's clearly because they're like, hold up. We got to get back to this championship DNA. We're not just like a joke with an MVP every year. Like, we are a championship winning organization. And they're very much, I mean, as far as I can see, like, if we're about to get out the brooms, that's crazy. So it looks like we're headed towards that again, them winning a championship, which means it's a culture they have going on, which is dynasty. That's dynasty language.
Yeah. And when you have a culture, you're able to pull yourself out of hard times and hard moments, which is exactly what they did this year when everyone was counting them out and questioning their personnel changes and their acquisitions and their coaching. They were questioning everything. And I was like, I need everyone to calm down. Did I expect them to win 16 straight? No, didn't. I don't think anybody did. But did I did expect them to finish in the top 4 of the league. Absolutely. And how when Jackie starts playing like this, when Asia and Chelsea Gray get their synergy going, they are such a hard team to beat. And then you have a coaching phenom legend in Becky Hammond just staring at you, waiting for you to mess up, waiting for her to draw ATO to get someone a wide open, easy shot. Like, they're just clicking on all cylinders. And I can't say the same about Phoenix right now. And then I think that was super apparent when they had over 3 minutes left in the game and coach cleared his bench. And the finals. I've never seen that before. I understand that he was worried about injuries and fatigue. So, like, from that perspective, I understood. But, like, we're in the finals. And there was a moment in that span where he had his bench in where if Westbeld hit a 3, it was a single-digit game. So, for me, I was like, I understand it from player safety, health and safety perspective. But, like, it's the finals. Like, you can't wave the white.
I'm
you can't
a little
wave
bit
the
more
white,
competitive nature,
right? You can't wave the white flag that early. But
And
yeah.
I also wanted to kind of get your perspective on the importance of coaching, because we talk a lot about continuity and coaching and those at the top on the show. But Becky very much has been a part of this building dynasty and growing dynasty that the Aces have going on. And things like that, like pulling out, clearing your bench with 3 minutes left in the finals game, when you still very much have a chance, that sends a message of like, all right, we're throwing the game away. I don't like throwing games away.
And that means that they are coming super correct for game 3. That's what I got from that is you throw in a towel like that. That means you are like, we're getting our butts home and we're going to figure out how to beat them in game 3. I feel like Sammy Whitcomb wasn't 100% after her scary injury in game 1. Was it game 1? I feel like she might have hurt herself. She wasn't herself. Satu had a rough night. I mean, she had 22-9, but it wasn't like very Satu-like. AT was in foul trouble. Ka has been playing really well in this finals. DB, she had her amazing moment in the semis, but overall, like she's kind of has struggled throughout the playoffs, especially with her outside shooting. I think Becky has just found a way to incorporate her entire team in the way she needs them. We said in the last series that Dana Evans and Jewel Lloyd are like the key to the Aces winning games, and Dana Evans game 1 showed up and showed out. So I want to give a shout out to Dana Evans because last season for her in Chicago was rough. And fans were mean, and it wasn't probably the season that she was envisioning for herself. I would love people to now put some respect on these players' names. I say that all the time on this show is a lot of people who tune into the WNBA, who have tuned in the last year or two, are judging a lot of these players in these, 9 months that you guys have seen them play basketball on their respective teams in the W. And what Dana did in college at Louisville was amazing. Her body of work overseas is amazing. She won a championship her rookie year after getting traded. Like, Dana is someone who has put the time and work in. And I'm really glad that she showed up the way she has throughout this playoffs, because I think a lot of people were also questioning, like, why did they bring Dana on this team? Why is she on the Aces? Like, she's not a good fit. I think she's an excellent fit. And in their press conference the other day, Becky even gave her, or 2 nights ago, whenever the game was, Becky even gave her a shout out for her shooting drill scores. Like, when you think people aren't watching and paying attention to what you're doing on off days, when you're doing your shooting, like, we have so much technology now, guys. Like, if you're in the gym, it's going to get checked. Like, there's a camera somewhere counting all your shots. The Phoenix coach said it about Sammy, or the media member said about how many shots Sammy gets up. Becky shouted out Dana for, her shooting drill scores and stuff like that. So these players are working their asses off to be ready for the moment. And I'm so happy for Dana. Like, we were teammates in Chicago, and neither one of us really played that much, but we were in the gym together a lot, and we were on the bench together a lot. And even in the finals, when we had a really huge blowout game, we both got to play. We both got to score in the finals. So for her to now be in the finals, being a key piece to the Aces winning games, like, it just makes me so happy. And like, I love it for her, because she did have a rough year last year, and she put her head down, worked, went overseas. Now she's here hooping. She's going to play in Unrivaled. Like, it's just going to go up, up, up for her. And like, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. When we talk about being ready for your moment, like, that's that personified is Dana, for real.
Shout out Dana.
Shout out Dana.
Contributing to championship teams. You go, girl. Yeah. I want to ask you a little bit of a spicy question. So clearly AT has been unhappy with the reffing. You have Satu with foul trouble in game 1 and AT and foul trouble in game 2. Both have had the assignment of Asia Wilson. She was in foul trouble, had a quiet night compared to her usual standards, finished with 10, 5, and 6. So my question to you is, watching the game, right? Is this more of a A'ja Wilson thing, being able to get her primary defender into foul trouble, or is this a skill thing on A'ja's part? Or, because I know the fans are going to be wondering, because of all of the drama in the last series with the Lynx, the refs, obviously we talked about at the top of the show, kind of having their message in their group chat, it seems like. If they were officiating the same way they did in the last series, would things be different?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like I said at the beginning of the show, AT does play basketball like football. And that's her style of play. Like, cool. She's been allowed to play this way for many, many years. I think on the flip side, she should not be the primary defender of A'ja Wilson. She should defend her at times, but she should not be the primary defender for this exact reason. A'ja's skill set, her footwork, and the mid-post is so elite. Like, she's going to bait you into 1 or 2 fouls just off the strength of her skill set alone. Like, you could play the best defense in the world, but because her release point is so high and her footwork is so good, she's going to catch you slipping sometimes. So I think that A'ja has worked really hard on her game to get it off the block and get it to the mid-post where she can face up, like I said earlier, and get the different defensive rules to where you can't be as physical with her because she's facing up. And I think that if the refs did ref book by the book, like don't touch anybody, AT would foul out of every game. So I don't like, I see her frustration because she's like, y'all been letting me play like this all season for years. And now in the WNBA finals, y'all want to start getting ticky-tack with me. 3rd place MVP voter getter, me. Like, y'all gonna play in my face like that? So I understand her frustration, trust me. But also, like, this is A'ja Wilson we're talking about, who actually did win the MVP. So when it comes to who's going to get the benefit of the doubt in Vegas, it's going to be A'ja Wilson. Now, the tide could turn in Phoenix because we know the word of the year for these referees has been inconsistency. So we're going to see what happens in Phoenix and if they keep it tight like they've been keeping it, but who knows? And that's the annoying part about the frustration with the refs is like you really don't know if you're going to get the same type of foul calling game to game. And I think that's why everyone is so irked and frustrated because you don't really even know. And it's funny like, so when the refs, when you get the refs, I don't even know if you know what refs are coming until like the actual game time or warm up time, but they put the refs' names in tape, like in front of your benches. So you know the refs' names. So even before the game starts, if the tape is there with their names, we're like, oh, we got him today. Oh, we got her today. Like, so we got to get mentally prepared to who is reffing our games. I do have a handful of refs that I really like, but I also have a handful of refs that I don't like as much. But as I always say, foul calling, my biggest issue is freedom of movement. That's it. And I'm stronger now. You know, it's not going to be as much of a problem as it was last season. But I remember coming back my first like few games and I was like, yo, I can't even get open. I can't get the ball. I'm tired. Right. Why am I getting thrown around like a rag doll right now? And it was because they wasn't calling no freedom of movement, but I also was just a little weakling. But I think that Game 3 is a must win for Phoenix. If they don't win Game 3, I think they could possibly get swept. And I don't want that. This has been such a great playoffs. And for it to end in a 4-0 or the first 7-game series in WNBA history, going to 4-0, I would hate that. As a fan, would be as everything, like I would hate that so much.
I mean, before we send the people off into watching this next game, I guess the next time they'll hear from us, they'll have already watched it. But however, What do you think that Phoenix needs to do to get back in the series? / is it possible for Phoenix to get back in the series? Yeah, like, or is there a possibility, or has Vegas won it already?
No, it's absolutely possible. I have everybody's playoff metrics here. You know me, I love numbers. So point blank, Satu has to play better and AT has to stay out of foul trouble. The end. Sammy Whitcomb has to make threes. And they have 3-point shooters on their bench, but they have just not been playing a lot of minutes. So it's whether is coach going to trust his bench to come in and maybe make something shake, give them a new look. I don't know if he's going to do that in game 3 of the WNBA finals, but he has high quality shooters on his bench that are ready to go, I feel like. So it's going to be interesting, especially if Sammy is not 100%. He's going to have to lean on his shooters that he has on the bench, and he has them. So I think that's going to have to happen. I think Vegas is just going to have to stay focused and locked in. I think they're going to have to keep riding this Jackie wave. And I think Jewel and Dana have to just continue to come in and contribute in whatever way that they can. Vegas's offensive rating right now is 109. And throughout the playoffs, that would be first. And during the season, they were at 106. They finished the regular season at 106 offensive rating. Phoenix's offensive rating right now is 98.4. And during the season, the regular season, they finished at 104. So their offense is not, did I get that right? Yes. Their offense is not where it was at during the regular season. And I think it's fatigue. I think that they are settling for a little bit more outside shots than they were in the regular season. And I think that that is an easy adjustment for them to make. Where they hang their hat is their defense. And their defensive rating has slid a little bit in the playoffs, and Vegas is around the exact same as it was throughout the season. We've never looked at Vegas as a super defensive team. That was Phoenix's bread and butter. So I think they just need to lean back into that, which, like we said, is going to be hard because of their physicality and the way that the games have been reffed, but they're just going to have to figure it out. It's the finals. Figure it out. Go back to what has been helping y'all, which is y'all's defense. Vegas is averaging 88 points per game. Phoenix is averaging 81 points per game. Vegas is shooting 38% from 3, shooting 20, and Phoenix is shooting 31%, shooting 27. So Phoenix is shooting more threes than Vegas at a lower clip. Rebounding, something that was very glaring in the last game, for both teams, honestly. I think they both can rebound a little bit better. But they're both kind of like the same rebounding. Neither one of them were like killing anybody rebounding wise throughout the regular season. So I think that defensively is where Phoenix is going to get their energy. I think that's where they've gotten their energy all season long. I think AT is going to have to stay in the game. She can't get in foul trouble. The team looks so different when she's not running the show. And not saying that Makani can't handle it, but she's like point guard adjacent. Like, she'll run an offense when she absolutely has to, but at the end of the day, AT is the one running that team. So I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to get back home, get some rest. And that crowd in Phoenix is crazy. So they're going to feed off the energy of the X Factor. Is that what they're called? Whatever. I love playing in Phoenix. I think Phoenix is like one of my favorite places to play. I love playing in a lot.
We talked about, we were texting. I was like, I love Phoenix.
Honestly, I think I have more places I love to play than like my least favorite places. Like, I absolutely hate playing in Connecticut, obviously. Everyone does, I think.
Right.
Unless you went to UConn. I also don't really like playing in... where else do I really like to play? I don't really like playing in DC. Their gym it's just too little. Like, I just feel like they deserve better. We deserve better than playing in that little arena. Like,
is it smaller than the Dream Arena?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
And if it's not smaller, like
it's loud in the Dreams
if
Arena.
it's not smaller, like capacity wise, like the actual building feels like way smaller than the Dream where the Dream play. Yeah, the Dream Arena.
Yeah, because the Dream have their
crazy.
own little quarter.
Yeah, the Dream Arena is nuts. I really enjoyed in there, and I like that. I like the dark court too, which some people hate it, but I love it.
I love that.
I love it. So yeah, I think this is gonna come out before Game 3, actually, the morning of.
So they won't know either.
Yeah. So I did read a few comment. Like now, guys, I'm going to the YouTube comments. Okay, I like to look at them now. I'm also back on Threads, guys. I'm back on Threads. Trying to get our show a little bit more popping. I had to check somebody yesterday. I've only been back on Threads for like 4 days, and I already had to check somebody because they try to talk crazy about my dad and my agent. And I was like, y'all can talk crazy about me, but don't bring my dad into this. So he didn't say anything like
that
absurd.
is giving obsessed.
Yeah, he didn't say anything absurd, but like now I have to step in because now you're talking about my father and my agent. Like I don't play by my family. So keep it cute on Threads. I think that depending on how these next 2 games go, I want us to do like a Q&A episode. So probably not next episode, but the episode after. So y'all tap in with us on X.
Love that.
Well, Mariah, you're on X still, right? That horrible place.
Yes, I'm on X.
She's on X. I'm on.
I don't go on it, but I have an account.
So hit us up in our YouTube comments, our podcast Instagram page, and you can hit me on Threads, I guess. Some questions and stuff, some guests that y'all want to hear from because this season's wrapping up. So we gonna have to provide some quality episodes for y'all while the WNBA is in the off season, which I'm very excited about. And now we can start bringing.
I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about.
We can bring in some guests. We can talk about whatever you guys want. College season is about to gear up, which I'm super excited about. But for now, we locked into the WNBA finals. So I hope y'all are continuing to watch and support the W despite all of this nonsense going around with our CBA and our commissioner. Just know that the more y'all support us, the more leverage we get and the better we can make this league for the future. So thank y'all for tuning in again to an episode of Full Circle Podcast. We will see y'all next week.
Bye, y'all.